Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to RCI TV for the special one-off Sunday event. This is the Behemoth Cup, and we are live here at Monza to see who is top dog between the BMW, the Nissan, or the Bentley. My name is Ryan Gill. I'll be your broadcaster for this evening. And joining me in the commentary box is the ever-familiar South African voice of George Smith.
Gentlemen, what a race we have on our hands today. What a great little showcase this shall be. And of course, the Behemoth Cup, a cool little one-time event coming at you on a Sunday night or maybe a Sunday morning, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome and thanks for joining us. I'm not alone in doing this, and neither is Ryan. We've, of course, got Joshua joining us as well. So, Joshua, how are you doing? Say hello to our lovely viewers.
I'm doing quite okay, thank you for having me, and yeah, you're absolutely correct. This is going to be a hell of a race, as we see one of the, I believe that's one of the Nissans in the background, just going off at a Scary there, but yeah, this is obviously going to be a really, really fun event. T1 is a bit of a well-known internet meme, I think the word is, for how tight it is and its incidence in T1. When you combine that with the types of cars and the sizes of the roadblock of the BMW alone, it's going to be a fun race, I think, George.
It really will be, and you know, these guys getting their eyes dialed in the last couple of minutes of free practice before they head over to that qualifying session, and then from there they head over to the race. So, you know, not much longer before we have to wait and see who's going to qualify towards the front. And like you mentioned, Monza, very famed T1. Of course, that chicane catches a lot of drivers off, but the second chicane that we're looking at, Harry Conway coming through as well. Also, one of the corners that a lot of people underestimate the potential for moves to be made, but with the driver skill and the driver class out here in the pro tier, I think that we've got a great race on our hands. Ryan, I'm looking forward to seeing you know, a couple of cars that don't really get featured too much in other races highlighted in a race.
Yeah, well, this is kind of one of the things that, you know, wanted to kind of bring with the Behemoth Cup. I mean, the BMW, the Nissan, and the Bentley, they are, you know, the established big three in terms of size in ACC, but we don't see them too often. I think the Bentley is probably the most common of these three cars, but even so, it doesn't really get the representation it probably deserves. And, well, the Nissan and the BMW, two absolutely beautiful cars, and they're very popular cars as well, but, you know, with the way the BOP is in ACC, they're not too popular with a lot of people, so bring them all out here to Monza. Loads of straights, some tight chicanes, and we're going to find out which one of these is the best. I have a feeling it's probably going to be the BMW, because it is fast around here. But we've got some pretty quick guys in the Nissans and the Bentleys, haven't we, George?
We do indeed. So it's going to be an interesting race. I think, like I said, qualifying is going to be more indicative of where things stand, more so than what we see in the practice sessions. It's always nice to see where things sort of rack up, but like you said, the BMWs being able to use a lot of that muscle down the straightaways, which Monza has a lot of, you can see them sort of stacking up towards the front at the end of practice here. So, you know, a lot of drivers are maybe going to have to pull some up. The Bentleys need some representation up in the top 10 for sure, but plenty of Nissans and BMWs up in that top 10. And our first top-line Bentley, Mikael Sundström, that 899 nearly on pace. Bentley Continental GT3 sits in 14th during free practice. So, I mean, I say I don't draw conclusions, but I've drawn a couple of conclusions, haven't I, Josh?
It appears that you most definitely have. I think it's worth noting that Monza, I believe, is the track with the quickest the highest average speed in the game. I know it definitely is in the F1 calendar. So yeah, it goes to show that the BMW, if it has the strongest straight line speed, it's going to be strong around here. But I know from experience the Bentley's are pretty quick, and we've seen in previous events that the Nissan is capable as well. So it should be a good race.
Ryan, we are about to head over to qualifying, and like you said, lots of names up here, lots of names to kind of prove their must. I mean, there's probably a couple of guys that do main these cars out in their regular leagues. I mean, they're not, like you said, the unpicked cars all the time. The Bentley's very popular picks coming out, but you know, some of the guys might be picking the Nissans and, you know, the likes of the Nissan or the BMW M6 as well. So I think it's going to be an interesting race. And I think some of our viewers have also, you know, kind of highlighted the fact that it is an interesting roster. It's different. It's not something that you always get to see. And one of the viewers also, JC Krobler, pointing out the fact that it's going to be hard to put these cars next to each other due to their sheer bulky size. So always good to see some monsters out on the grid. Race session, or should I say quali session, is about to begin. 15 minutes at Monza to get things into a line. Make sure that you've got your head in the right place. Put in a lap that puts you towards the front of the grid so you can avoid the chaos that is the start of Monza. And Lubomir Zeman is going to get himself out and away ahead of that chaos that we see behind. In fact, not too many cars in shot of him. So he's going to love the fact that he's gotten himself out. And Mr. Zeman, a well-known name around at RCI, good car to take us around.
He even participated in the G2 Esports series, which contained the BMW M6 at Monza, didn't he, George? So, got plenty of experience in this car already, after having finished in the top 10 across 2 races for the G2 Esports series. So he'll be looking to put that experience to use. And another driver here that was in the G2 Esports series, Harry Conway, unfortunately didn't make it through to the final, but qualified, which is what matters. You can see him in the background there with that eccentric purple, green and brown livery. It's what I call it. Looks like something out of Mike Noble's dreams. But I have to say, multi-21 racing for Lubomir Zeman. I like this livery. Always strikes me very nice. The red and the black go quite well together, don't they, Josh?
They actually do. It's a color combination that really, really does work. I'm really liking Sundstrom's Bentley with the black and the gold. It's really giving me some kind of some old Lotus vibes kind of going on. As we're coming around the Parabolica with Zeman at the moment, setting his outlap and going to start his flying lap now. I have a suspicion that the BMWs are going to be especially strong around here, especially in qualifying, but I suppose the cars behind him are going to be looking to pick up on that slipstream and make the most of that.
So, Lubomir Zeman down towards Prima Variante for the first time on his hot lap. A few cars still coming out of the pit lane, a bit late, but they will be moving out of the way, I'm sure. The Nissan here well off to the left-hand side of the track to allow Zeman through. And he will do so as he moves through Biasono and towards the Seconda Variante chicane. And so important to get your braking zone right for both of these chicanes. Hold as much speed as you can, especially through the second chicane, as you launch yourself towards the first Lesmo. Deep on the brakes. Try and hold third gear around this corner. Don't go too wide onto the gravel or the grass. Keeps it nice on the curb. Then the second Lesmo, much trickier than the first one. But Zeman gets it put in well. Now down Seraglio and towards Ascari. The make or break corner that is on this lap. You can do everything perfect around this circuit, but this is the most important section of the track, in my opinion. Throws it over the entrance curbs, rides the middle part and then over the exit as well. Looking very good from Lubomir Zeman. Doesn't go too wide on the exit either. And now down towards the Parabolica. He won't be catching the car, the 404, I think that is of Bart Matcher, who's on his outlap. No, so into the Parabolica he comes. Nice and tight to the apex of that corner. Goes out wide, doesn't go too wide to trouble the curbs, and he'll come up towards the timing line. Lubomir Zeman's first lap for qualifying, it's a 1:47.6. Only 2/10 of the fastest lap in practice right from the get-go. But Harry Conway will throw down a 1:47.4 to show that he's got the skill in the BMW as well.
Everybody getting a good outlap coming down and making sure that they get a banker lap in. Of course, 15 minutes of quali just disappears ahead of you oh so quickly when you're out here trying to get one of these quick laps into the books. So Harry Conway up at the front with our 1:47.4. Very nice opening lap to come out with. And of course, having Zeman 2/10 behind him is a good gap to have. It's not in the hundredths or the tenths, the hundredths or thousandths of a second. You know, having a 10th is always good. 2/10 is nice to have, but as you can see, all the way down to 18th place, getting lap times in 2/10 or 2 seconds off the pace is Carl Mathis, another name that we've seen around here. So it just kind of indicates that some drivers get a good first lap, other drivers kind of take a while to get that car up to temperature. And we do see the grip levels change, don't we, Josh, towards the end of quali? It always grips up right towards the end.
Oh yeah, I mean, as temperatures start rising, I mean, we're looking at a track temperature currently, I think that's of 28 degrees Celsius, so obviously the more cars go around, the more rubber kind of gets grained into the tarmac, and it does allow the cars to grip up just that little bit more. But no, I think also track invalidations, especially where we're seeing Sundstrom now getting a little bit of a wiggle coming out the first Lesmo. It's so easy to invalidate track limits, which obviously then can also have been a banker lap as well, so it's... There's still plenty of time left to go. There's still about 10 minutes left of quali, and let's see what the drivers can make of it.
Well, Martin Lawrence, he's definitely made something of it, as the 171 Connection Lost Racing Nissan puts himself into 5th place. But he's not going to be the highest Nissan, as Klaus Niering had an impressive performance out in the McLaren Masters Cup, the previous Monday championship. He's thrown his Nissan up into 4th, so a few Nissans getting in the way of the BMWs here, and there's a couple of Bentleys here to boot as well, with Mark Whitford and Andre Felix getting in the mix of the top 10 now.
Definitely needed to see those manufacturers starting to jump their way up there, and we needed some Bentleys in the top 10. We asked for it during free practice, and so far, the likes of Whitford starting to deliver. Felix up there too. Sundstrom actually just knocked down out of that top 10. He was up there. He's now down to 11th place, of course. Conway leads over Zeman, who's in 2nd. Lima 3rd. Ryan Meenan 4th. Nearing 5th. Macrick 7th as things shift up. Schumacher up into 6th. Martin Lawrence 8th. Whitford 9th. And Berwick holds down the top 10. So only one Bentley remains in that top 10. In the last minute, as just as the commentators start to comment on those manufacturers shifting up, some more BMWs enter the arena, and I think that top speed is going to play out. But it will be interesting to see how they sort of fend off for a whole hour. That's where the race distance. It doesn't just mean how things go in the opening lap, and if they are just BMWs up towards the front, they're going to keep each other busy, and that's going to open up the potential for other manufacturers to enter into this. So Killian Ryder Meenan over the line was 21st, jumps up to 17th with 148.1, so is off the pace, 8.37th of a second off, as these kind of times, you see how close they are, all the way down to 19th place, 18th place, just under a second. So it's going to be really tight, not just up at the front, but in the mid-pack as well. And sometimes that's where the interesting races get created, is those mid-packs, and having a big grid out here, that's what you want to see. Monza, 30 cars for an hour. Josh, what did we sign up for?
I don't know, but it sounds like this is definitely one of Ryan's little brainchilds. This is an evil combination, but it's gonna for the drivers. It's great for us. As we're seeing Martin Schumacher come around the Parabolica to finish his lap. Time will it be? He's going to be crossing the line, and that is putting him into 3rd place. Just was that 0.093 seconds behind the leader. So really, really fast lap, and yet another BMW in the top 3.
Ryan, we talked about those BMWs. I mean, you talked about it. Most importantly, 1st to 5th BMW Cup Series going down. 2 Nissans of Lawrence and Lima, and then Ryan Meenan and Berenik up there too. And there goes another one up there, 1st to 6th place. All BMWs. So, maybe the guys in the other manufacturers looking down at the series going, have we not picked the right car for this one?
I've got the words of Mike Jones in my ears right now. You should have BOP'd the BMW. and maybe I should have. But unfortunately, James Parker wasn't available for a chat that day, so nothing happened. And regarding the BMW, yeah, I mean, top 6 at the moment, all BMW M6s. We have, you know, well, we saw ourselves, didn't we, George, at the G2 Esports Series, how quick this car is around here amongst each other when they're just fighting in the same kind of single make. But, you know, qualifying's one thing, the race is another, and I'm expecting the Nissans and the Bentleys to be a bit more competitive down to the race, because of course all these cars are going to be carrying much more fuel. We know the Bentley is very, very good on its fuel, actually. It can probably take less fuel than the BMW can, make it a bit lighter towards the start of the race and the end as well. And then the Nissan does have a bit of punch coming out of the corners as well, and that's going to be important coming out of some of these slower chicanes. So I think in the race, it's going to be a bit of a different story. I wouldn't expect to see the BMW dominance in the race that we see here in qualifying. But of course,
I think Ryan, I think you. I think you got a good point there. I think, you know, there's something to say for quali versus race side of things. With the last 4 minutes coming up, only one driver kind of sitting out in the pits at the moment, not wanting to get a lap in. So it is going to be one of our other G2 esports drivers, Ivan Szymanczyński, who gets into the pole sitting spot and knocks Schumacher and Conway just behind him. Just look at those gaps between the first three. I mean, those three are dicing it out to the very last second. Cormac Ryan Meaning, another driver that we've seen around RCI many times, in the top 10, but struggling a little bit compared to some of his other BMW counterparts. Has a couple of laps left to do it. 1/10 up out of Parabolica, comes down over the line. Is it going to better his position? Does not. Does better his time, but it's not going to be good enough to get himself right onto the back of the rest of the BMWs in front of him.
No, I don't think that's anything against him, though. I mean, Lorenk and Lima in those Nissans, they really pulled some work pulling the most out of the Nissans as the gap between the cars is becoming to be a little bit more obvious, to kind of say the least. I mean, all these drivers are obviously in the pro bracket. They're all incredibly talented drivers. They're some of the quickest that we have, and that's why they're here. So it's nothing on the drivers. It's just showing the differences between the cars, I think. And you're absolutely right about the Bentley. It is better on its fuel, so it maybe can take a little bit less, but is that against the spirit of the Bentley? That's kind of the question as we see Ryan Meehan take a little bit of a wiggle out the left way. He makes contact with one of the Nissans and spins off into the second place.
Funny
that's
enough,
naughty. That's
he made contact with his brother there, actually. That was Killian.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like, the fact that his brother was there, naughty little trying to drift it, keep control of the slide, and we'll make some contact there. So I'm sure if brothers are put in the same room, there's, you know, shoes being tossed across. You know, you ruined my lap. 2 minutes to go of quali, and you know, everything counts when it comes down to this. Berenik currently for the Orion race team, of course, the team that we see featured a lot in the endurance side of things. Phenomenal representation out in the sim community. The number 126 BMW M6 will get another couple of laps in, hopefully try and improve his position. 3/10 off of the likes of Harry Conway, who has gone first, so it will change things up just a little bit up towards the front. Szymanczyński second, Schumacher third. So Conway, something to prove here. He didn't get his time to prove it in the G2 Esports Series. Ryan, you talked about it. He qualified, but had connection problems, and that was the reason that he couldn't race. So he was sort of, you know, had the opportunity and then was ripped out of that opportunity, and it wasn't nice to see because look at his pace here. Look at what he could do. So, you know, absolutely gutting out there for Conway. So I didn't get to talk about it during the event, but yeah, having some connection issues and being in an esports event, unfortunately, the call is made where you can't participate, and this time around, hopefully he gets another shot at that. Mikael Sandström, as he approaches Ascari, 4/10 up on his lap time here. 30 seconds left on that qualifying clock. So these ones are the ones that need to be put into the bag. And Sandstrom for that 899, nearly on pace. Bentley team definitely wants to rack this up. Josh talked about delivery and the paint job on this. I'm always a fan of the nearly on pace colorways. Always got some gold, white and gold, black and gold. Definitely combos that work out, and some gold rims to boot. So 19th for Sandstrom as he approaches the line. Improves it to 13th with a 147.8. And a good showing for Mikhail Sandstrom.
I think it's also worth noting that our wishes of a Bentley in the top 10 are currently provisionally being fulfilled with Whitford in P9 with that 86 Bentley, about half a second off the leader. So, but there are still some cars to finish. There's quite a lot of cars to finish, so it is very, very much provisional at the moment.
Yep, Martin Lawrence. He will throw his Nissan all the way up into the top 5. So Nissan breaking the BMW train in the top half. Here is Kilian Ryan-Minen in the Nissan as well. He's up by 1/10 of a second. Claimed that he was up by 0.4 when Cormac took him out. So some strategy going on there by Cormac Ryan-Minen to prevent his brother getting a better qualifying position. And Kilian now, this is going to be his last-ditch effort. Can he find that 0.4 that he was up? Well, he's still only 0.1 up on his time at the moment as he makes his way towards Parabolica. So this is going to be it for Kilian Ryan-Minen. How much further can he climb up the grid? Having said that, 1/10 of a second would gain you quite a few places with how tight this grid is. The top 21 drivers covered by 1 second. And Kilian Ryan-Minen, he'll make his way up towards the timing line. He sits 24th. He'll stay 24th as his qualifying comes to an end in quite impressive style, it has to be said.
Yeah, a nice little 360 rotation, maybe even a 540 coming out. I mean, doesn't stick the landing, so I'm only giving it 2 points, but a lot of drivers will end up with those quali sessions and head over to the grid, where, of course, they get that opportunity now to make those last couple of tweaks out to the setup. This is where all the emotions start to build up. You know, you start to get a little bit nervous as well. You pull off, you've got a single formation lap to settle all of that before you go side by side for a rolling start. And what a rolling start it will be. A bit of a Thunderdome coming down, having some interesting shenanigans at Monza in the past. Can our drivers come out here unscathed, Ryan? That will be the question that everybody will be asking for. And I think as broadcasters, it makes for good broadcasting if you have incident-free lap ones, especially with a race length of about an hour. It's not long enough for drivers to be separated by 5 seconds at the start.
No, absolutely, especially when you consider the difference in the car performance at the moment as well. Obviously, there is a bit of a bias towards the BMW as we kind of predicted. But yeah, getting behind, obviously, in the slower cars isn't going to be ideal. But at the same time, if things kind of clash between the leaders, it kind of gives some of the guys at the back a bit of a chance to sort of pull some of this back and make up for the grid position.
Really does. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake, and you need to make sure that you have everything in the right place to have a good race. And it is the lonely Nissan that separates the BMWs out here today. So it will be interesting to see if Ryan's prediction comes true. We're about ready to have our grid walk for today. And it will be Harry Conway who lines up first, alongside Ivan Sherman-Tinsky in second. Martin Schumacher takes third. Lumimar Zeman in fourth. Martin Lawrence starts fifth. Stefan Zero in sixth place. That number 126 of Romano Berenic in seventh place. Radislow Mack starts eighth. Mark Whitford ninth. Diego Lima rounds out the top 10. Peter Henneberg starts 11th. Cormac Ryan-Minen in 12th. Mikhail Sandstrom in 13th. Herbert Fischel in 14th. Tiemu Ladelima in 15th. Andre Felix in 16th. Billy Octane in 17th. Klaus Nehring in 18th. 19th for Jordan Grant Smith. 20th rounded out by Jurek Sevenik. 21st for Jan Matches. Morgan McCall starts 22nd, Bart Matcher 23rd. Killian Ryan Meelan in 24th. Alexander Lackey in 25th. The number 47 of Matthias Kaisak in 26th. 27th for Carl Mathers. Junior McCall starts 28th. 29th for Peter Hobra. And 30th for Voltak Burgess to round out this monstrous grid. I should have gone with Behemoth grid, as that is the name of our series tonight. A once-off fun event brought to you by Racing Club International. In the box with me, of course, my good friends Ryan and Josh. Ryan on cameras as well as joining us for the commentary. So a man of many talents to bring us the shots. The drone flyover as the last 1 minute counts down before we pull things away for our single format formation lap. A lot of BMWs up towards the front, separated by that lone Nissan of Martin Lorenz in 5th place. And then it's we got a lone Bentley representative in the top 10 of Whitford. 57 seconds before the engines start up. And I'm going to ask some predictive thoughts to my fellow commentators, starting things off with the man behind the cameras. Ryan, any particular favorites that you're keeping an eye out on?
Oh, well, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite right from the start, George, it's going to have to be that the two, G2 esports drivers towards the front of the grid. Of course, Ivan Shermatinsky and Harry Conway, both of them starting right at the front. And of course, they're definitely going to be some of the favourites. Harry Conway, a lot to prove, Didn't get the chance to compete in the G2 esports series final. But, who cares about a G2 esports series final when you could win the Behemoth Cup instead?
So much more prestigious, am I right? Now, I think I have a soft spot for the Bentleys. It's the car that kind of introduced me to RCI, because first thing I did was the Barcelona 6 Hours, and we did that in the Bentley, and it's kind of had a place in my heart ever since. So I'm kind of hoping Whitford can make something happen with that Bentley at P9.
Ryan, I'll just remind you that the winner of the GT Esports Series took home €2,000. So just as a reminder to all the viewers.
But Judge,
money in esports.
Judge, does it match the pride of winning the Behemoth Cup?
You guys, if you guys put me on the spot, I'll throw you under the bus with it, eh? So you have to be careful. It's a very fine line. I think sometimes €2,000 sings songs in my ears that are louder than winning Ryan's Behemoth Cup.
I'll remember that the next time I put together a one-off event. And I won't invite George Smith into the commentary box, but you're welcome anytime, Josh, as the formation lap is underway.
I don't like how Josh is he's doing the suck-up thing from the get-go just because he wants to get into Ryan's good books. Sometimes someone has to play good cop, someone has to play bad cop, someone has to play Switzerland and sit between the middle. So
George,
I guess
you don't play bad cop,
seats.
good cop. You just play a cop. You just switch between whichever mode you feel like.
I mean, that's also not unfair. Rounding through Lesmo's 1, our lead drivers go. But I think Ryan, getting back on track with some of the racing, I think Mr. Conway's livery up at the front is definitely a questionable color palette. Very interesting. Not gonna be missed out on circuit. Sometimes I say that because of just Lumo paint jobs out there. Harry Conway, something completely different. Killian Ryan Meenan, also very interesting paint job to a Nissan GTR. I think it will upset some of the pure breed Nissan fans in real life. Billy Octane with a much more sensible Miami-themed triple R color palette. Beautiful number 33. Like I said, look at the sheer number of GT3 cars on the circuits, and of course just the 3 manufacturers given to the drivers to pick from. Not a bad 3-car garage if I was going to pick something for the weekend. And out through Ascari, our leaders go and start to prepare themselves for what will be an interesting hours-long race. BMWs, can they hold on to what they found during quali pace? Can some of the other manufacturers use some of their traits to get up towards the front? And of course, the balance of drivers that are here, you know, that also goes to paint a picture. It can change up at any moment. So 2 by 2, they'll start to form up. And Ryan, handing over to you before they get out through the Parabolica. I know you like to start races, and I think this is a good one to start.
It definitely is, as we have a massive field of cars, 30 cars on the grid here tonight for the Behemoth Cup. 3 different brands represented, all of them with enormous engines underneath them. But of course, only one of them can take the win here tonight in the Behemoth Cup. Harry Conway starts on pole position. Ivan Shermatinsky alongside him in the BMW M6. They come up towards the timing line. We're about to go green here at Monza for the start of the Behemoth Cup. We are green at Monza, and there seems to be a small shunt from a Bentley into the back of a BMW on the start, but it doesn't seem to have created any incidents before we go down to turn 1. Speaking of turn 1, Shermatinsky has got an incredible run across Harry Conway into turn 1, and he will take the lead before the braking zone. So Shermatinsky better jump than Harry Conway on the start. Looking back through the rest of the field, it seems like everyone has got through the first chicane clean and well. And that has to be an incredibly impressive effort considering the size of the cars that we have here on display. But we come up to the second chicane. Harry Conway looking to retake his lead back, but Shermatinsky is going to hold it as they come out of the second chicane. Still looks fairly clean as a BMW has to take to the inside. But everything looking clean for now, George.
It really was a good start. Shermatinsky leads out Conway with Zeman tucked in behind for third place. Schumacher chasing down to try and get onto that third place of the podium. So he sits in fourth. Lawrence in fifth. Oh, big send-off coming out from from Lesmo too. It looked like in the background. Not sure of the car of that. It looks like Berenick going to retire to the pits. Could have been him that shot off. Conway trying to see if he can get into the slipstream of Shermatinsky in front of him. Needs to make sure he does not let the race leader get away. Doesn't want to get caught up with a battle with Zeman early on, and you need to work together if you're behind the leader, not let him get away, but at the same time you're battling with those people for the same position. So Ivan Shermatinsky gonna have to try and hold off the likes of Harry Conway, who had a much better qualifying pace coming out. But it all was the start of that race that worked out. Around the outside he had to go to get out through Prima Variante, and he did a good job to make sure that Conway was put there. Zeman doesn't really have much to put Conway onto the back foot just yet. Up the inside goes Zeman. Big dive, makes the escape road somehow in that. And oh, big mistake coming out just behind. Contact as some drivers underestimate that braking zone coming down. And Zeman, after having to go through the escape road, will bleed out some positions down towards this. Doesn't have the same momentum coming out. And that contact down towards the back, Josh.
That was Sundstrom in the Bentley, he's been sent right to the back. My timing sheets have gone absolutely crazy. But he's in the 899 Bentley.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
He got massively hit, jumping across the inside of the chicane there. Spun around completely, had to wait for a safe rejoin, but he's rejoined now in 25th, which is a shame because I think he worked his way into the top 10. So, oh, that's absolutely heartbreaking.
Martin Lawrence, a man that has not had much heartbreak just yet. 3 positions coming out as the mistake of missing the chicane comes through. So Martin Lawrence trying to see if he can just make this work. Needs to try and put this lone Nissan GTR up towards the podium spots if he wants some representation out there. But you can just see down the straights, without the slipstream, doesn't seem to hold on to the front three. And just behind him, another 3 angry BMWs stare down his rearview mirror. Zeman, 0, and Maka in that number 137 down to 7th, all within half a second of one another. And look at the slipstream coming out, the BMW on the charge. Zeman gonna have the inside line here for sure. Now onto the brakes, they both will go. Zeman does slow things down enough this time. Is the cut back there? The 171, what a move coming back. Wants to fight back, but won't have the move to do so. Martin Lawrence on the flashes, not quite 100% happy with Lawrence's move there, but I feel like it was okay down there. Had the big run coming down. Needs to make sure that he doesn't lose some more positions as we look at that number 16 Nissan GTR, chased down by 2 Bentleys. Felix and Grant Smith behind Herbert Froschi as they come through the second Variante chicane. And Lesmo 1 and 2. Not really a place you can go side by side, but very wide you can. And indeed he will. 2 GTRs go wide. 2 Bentleys get through. A whole bunch of GTRs behind. And side by side, 2 GTRs will try and dance it out through the exit of Lesmo 2. Now down onto that back stretch. They will try to go. And I don't think it is going to be a drag race the whole way down, as another GTR will enter this. Morgan McCall up in the front, and it will be a big collision coming down. We're going to get a replay of this. We have to see the chaos that came down. A little back end touch and rear quarter panel, both of them into the wall. Damage done. Race at this pace will most certainly put them down towards the back, and there's been another accident just in front of them as they get back on after Scary. So a little bit of chaos coming out. Lap 1 super clean. Lap 2 a little bit dangerous, and now we see the move of Lawrence. He's got to defend against these if he can, but looks like he's going to try and use the likes of Zeman. Going to put himself side by side, keep that inside. Whoa, that Martin Lawrence masterclass in defense coming down into the first chicane.
But can he hold it into the second? I don't think he can, but no, he's lost that position. I'm sorry for interrupting you there, George.
No, absolutely not. It was a move that wasn't going to stay there for too long, as that BMW did seem to have some pace, but a mistake out of the second chicane, and it gets handed back. I giveth, I taketh away, and then I give it back. That's kind of the game we're playing here today, aren't we, Ryan?
Yeah, Martin Lawrence, he'd lost pace coming out of the first chicane, but then Stefan Zero making a mistake allowed him to capitalise and take that position back, and Stefan Zero now has all that hard work to do again. And looking down the field, I think Romano Berenic is the only retirement we do have, so you were correct on your initial assumption, George, of who that was earlier on. It was the Orion Race Team BMW.
Not nice to see when guys have mistakes like that. And we see a black BMW in the background out of a Ascari going a bit wide. We'll go side by side with the green. Bentley. Both Bentleys going side by side. Martin Lawrence once again going to be under attack from Zero. Morgan McCall into the top 10 in his number 19 GTR. He's also got a BMW of Cormac Ryan Mina behind him. So once again, we get to see the battle coming down. Will Martin Lawrence be able to hold off the 7-2-1 this time around? Stefan Zero says no in the Rover Racing liveried M6. Gets through. Needs to make sure that this time around he doesn't hand the position back though, Joshua.
No, of course, he's not going to be looking to make the same mistake as he did the last stop, obviously. Running a little bit wide, allowing that Nissan chance to just squeeze its way around, but coming to the braking zone, no, it looks like he's got a decent enough lead as we cut to George Sevnek, which I have to admit is in a really lovely coloured BMW, fending off the Nissan of Matias behind him in the 254. But yeah, holding off into the second chicane, but going into the Lesmo, a bit of a train of cars forming behind them with the likes. I think that is a Billy Octane that is going through the first Lesmo, kind of nailing it a little bit better. Going into the second, be careful that inside curb. Running a little bit wide, this is just taking a little bit of a gap forming as we run down the Seglio down into Ascari. It's going to be quite vital to get the exit of that right and get the run down to the Parabolica absolutely correct. So this track's all about straight line speed, really. But it seems like he's kind of got it under control. Lovely rear camera view there, obviously looking over the rear wing of that Bentley as we cut to the track side cam. Really, really tight racing, and there's a group of cars just ahead of them as well. I believe that's a BMW and 2 Nissans going down into the Parabolica as well. So quite tightly packed bunch, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, everyone seems to be kind of forming into little bubbles, aren't they? Quite appropriate considering the current global situation, but yeah, everyone's starting to form up into little groups. But one thing is clear, is that Shermatinsky at the front, he's starting to clear away from the likes of Harry Conway. 1.5 seconds separate the two leading BMWs. And of course, the top 5 as they were. But Martin Lawrence, he's got back past Stefan Zero at some point. So Stefan Zero keeps getting past the Nissan of Martin Lawrence, but he then seems to be making some mistakes, and the Nissan makes its way back past through. We have a car off on track. That looks to be some of the back markers. A couple of these guys probably pitting for damage after the collision on lap 2 down towards the first chicane. So a few of these guys are just a bit out of position on where they, probably wanted to be at this stage in the race, and a few of the leaders having to work out with traffic a bit earlier than they probably expected to, Josh.
No, absolutely. Obviously, nobody really wants to make a stop so early, as we see Warren kind of come down in the slipstream of Nyring, I'm trying to go down my timesheet to find, but I cannot find what number they are actually in. Passing the Parabolica, blue flags, really respectful, pulling off to the right. To the left, sorry. Getting my directions all mixed up today. But, yeah, really, really, really tight back as we see Matthias finally getting past that Bentley, but running wide at the Parabolica. Billy Octane's taking the opportunity to take it down the inside. And you'll be thankful for those positions, but this one looks like it's going to pull right into the slipstream of the Bentley, but
Billy Octane, that name giving him an extra bit of horsepower out of the corner, it seems, as he makes a double overtake there out of the Parabolica. That was excellent awareness though, wasn't it, from Billy Octane to know that overtake was happening, that both cars had gone slightly wide, and he was able to throw that BMW up the inside, and Jan Matthias has now got Ladelma for company behind him. Nissan versus Nissan, and Kilian Ryan Meenan's decided he wants to get on this as well, and Ladelma going to be having a look at Matthias now on the outside coming into Seconda Variante, but Matthias is going to have the better line. Ladelma just cuts off Kilian Ryan Meenan before he has a chance to go up the inside. And the Nissans stay as they were, but plenty of competition it seems between all the Japanese manufacturers competing against each other.
Absolutely, they seem to follow quite well in the pack, and obviously this is the track again, I've said before, straight line and slipstreaming is kind of everything, and if you've got a car that can handle that quite well without losing too much downforce, I mean, I feel the Bentley loses quite a lot in the slipstream, as we kind of see, is that Sundström in the background making a move on one of the Nissans. But it might have been a back marker. Of course, Sundström got hit off in T2 from what it looked like. We didn't get a replay, so I'm not actually too certain what happened. But all we saw was that Bentley flying over the chicane in lap 2. So we cut on board with Harry Conway. He's really caught up to the back of Shermatinsky. Going into T1 into the braking zone, just closing that gap, trying to get the better exit on the run down to the second chicane. Can he close that gap a little bit more by the braking zone? Can he get within a space where he can be thinking about making a move?
I think that he can. He's certainly finding something towards, 15 minutes into the race, finding a little bit of more what he needs to do, needs to get that delta time down, needs to start using the slipstream. Obviously, being an even beast, it's all down to the setup and, of course, the drivers between the cars that are here. Looking back from the rear wing of the number 11 M6, you can see Conway is going to get himself into that slip if he does find the apexes. But out of Lesmo 2, even Shermatinsky definitely has something more, and this backstretch isn't going to allow Conway to sit in that slipstream for too long. Might catch up at some stage, but it is down towards that battle between Billy. Oh, big mistake coming out from McCall. Morgan McCall makes a mistake out of Lesmo 1. Good avoidance coming out from the likes of Octane, but oh, look at that. Oh, dives across. Oh, yeah, calculated coming down, but Octane and Svensik are going to go side by side, inside line for the Triple R number 33 into Ascari. Over the anti-cuts he goes. That 107 Bentley wants the room to go by. Will the exit be better, or will it allow the likes of Jan Matthias in that chasing GTR to get in on this? Ladelma is also there as well. They're all in the slip coming down side by side. Billy Octane is going to try and defend off Svensik into the likes of the Parabolica. Wide goes the likes of Svensik, and on the inside comes Matches. Look at this GTR charge come. Now Svensik and the likes of Matches will be side by side. Billy Octane will be leading the likes of Svensik in that number 107 Bentley down into the first chicane. They will come into the braking zone. Where do they go? 3 cars don't go into 1, and Matches on the brakes will stay ahead of Ladelma as they all obey by the racing etiquette. Brilliant GT3 racing being seen by the mid-pack here. Svensik just wants to see if he can get by, but Billy Octane doing a good job to just make that M6 wider than it usually is, Josh.
No, absolutely. I think we just saw one of the GTRs just come off into coming out of T1, T2 as well. Try to find who that might have been. I saw
Svensik is going up the inside. The Octane on the outside of Lesmo 1 might lose out here. Matches still going to see what is going on here. Big slide coming out from Octane. Keeps control of it. Loses time though. Inside line for Matches out of Lesmo 2. Will have the run out. Billy Octane robbed the 2 positions in the space of a couple of seconds, and Ladelma also trying to capitalize on that mistake that Billy Octane's made. He's got the run done. Ladelma 3 cars wide. They're going to come into Ascari. Where do they go? They're not going to make it up. Billy Octane later on the brakes. Then Matches makes that position back up. The number 33 wide out of Ascari onto the dirt. Using the runoff now. Will bleed 2 positions, maybe even a 3rd, as Killian Ryan Meenan, using the battles in front, has his eyes on the prize, wants to see if he can also rob Billy Octane whilst he's out here and just handing out those free positions, Ryan.
Absolutely chaotic, isn't it? And the Nissans aren't done either, as the likes of Ladelma and Matthias are going to go side by side. Killian Ryan Meenan is drafting the BMW of Billy Octane. This has been going on for about 2 or 3 laps now. It's going to continue on for a 4th, I imagine. Ladelma on the outside will turn into the inside of the first chicane, gets a good exit, and I think he has the position done. On Jan Matthias he does. Killian Ryan Meenan makes up a place on Billy Octane as well. And throughout all of that racing, the Bentley of Shrenchek has checked out in front. But kudos to all 5 of them. For those last few laps, they were incredibly clean, and I don't think it's done yet because Billy Octane wants that place back.
No, I doubt he will settle for that. If we know Billy like we know Billy, he is not going to settle for that. He's going to get his head down and just catch up with Ladelma and try and come out on top of that pack. Meanwhile, Svensik is pulling ahead in that Bentley, just kind of glad to be out of the pack. Just like, whew, escaped at that one. Let's just track down Korak Ryan Meenan in that BMW as well.
Ryan did say that the Bentley was one that had the long haul race pace. Oh, look at the slidey boy that is Killian Ryan Meenan coming into Ascari. Look at Jan Matches running wide. Look how much time he'll lose now. Gets onto the track again, but he's already lost all that pace. Billy Octane says nope, coming down, and there is a sideways M6 as they drag it down. Are they going to go 3 wide into Ascari inside from Matches? Might be able to take one off Octane. Octane missing the braking point there, needs to try and get onto the gas, but onto the runoff he goes. Needs to be careful not to get on the gas too early as the 256 will tuck into the slip, and a GTR battle down the straightaway we get. And on the, whoa, Jan Matches just uses the slipstream, pulls out really early, and now Billy Octane using all of this down the inside. Big move from Octane. Will he be able to make up these 2 places? Number 33 tries to do so, forcing them wide. Will allow Killian Ryan Meenan to get a good drive out from that first chicane, and now they still remain side by side. Jan Matches in that 256 in that black Lumo green and slightly green GTR, and then of course Killian in that bright pink and green GTR, and then behind is Billy Octane in the light Miami Sky Blue. Side by side, a little bit of rubbing into the second chicane, giving each other some room where they can. And look at Billy Octane, he wants some space. There's just no space here, and defensive Killian will go into Lesmo 1. This will allow the 256 to read him like a little bit of a book. Might be able to get a better drive out of Lesmo 2, and this is where you want it. This is where you want to hold on. The straightaway is where you make it up, Josh.
No, absolutely, and all of these cars are in each other's slipstream, so we're looking for a bit of a run down the Ascari. As Billy Octane, ever the opportunist, is looking down the outside of Ascari, going into the braking point, tugging into the slipstream of Killian Ryan Meenan, turning in, cutting across the curb. He makes the move, stick on Matthias, but I don't think this battle's over yet, George.
Well, this is exactly what we wanted to see from the likes of the Behemoth Cup, and we're not being disappointed so far with this battle. And I tell you what, Billy Octane, he now fancies that Nissan of Killian Ryan Meenan. He's seen it go past him and then go back behind him a couple of times, and he would rather like to see that Nissan in his rearview mirror. So here he goes, the M6 already quick in a straight line. He has the slipstream, he tucks out of the slipstream, gets ahead of the Nissan well before the braking zone, and he will keep the position. And now Killian Ryan Meenan has to refocus, try and get a better exit. Ooh, just a bit on the back end as well of Billy Octane. That's going to open himself up to Jan Matthias, who he's not forgotten that he's still in this battle, by the way, and he's going to have the outside line going through Biasono. It's going to be the inside line for the Seconda Variante. Killian Ryan Meenan thinking, my word, I thought I'd already got rid of you. Nope, not going to be the case as Jan Matthias retakes the position from Killian Ryan Meenan. And what a show these guys are putting on right now.
Absolutely, none of these drivers refusing to die or back down, but that's the competitive mindset that you need, the mindset of never give up. Anything is possible, and these drivers changing positions not even on a laply basis at this point, almost on a turn basis. It's
I want to get an onboard shot of Jan Mathias's car to just kind of get a good feel of what's going through him at the moment. I mean, we know that we see the likes of Billy Octane in front, and we do get a nice onboard shot inside on Nismo as we ride down the exit from Ascari down towards the Parabolica. And for now, this is where Jan Mathias has always had a little bit of space. He's had a bit of breathing room, but Killian Ryan Meenan into Parabolica, a bit of a mistake from Jan Mathias, has to wrestle with the wheel, is going to cost him a bit of time on the exit. Doesn't seem to compromise him too much. He immediately sticks to the inside line, so he's not even looking to use any of the slip from that M6 in front, and he's just wanting to make sure that if Killian Ryan Meenan wants to make a move coming down into T1, he's going to have the inside line, doesn't have to defend it this time round. Nice usage of the curbs as well. You just get a good feeling for how close these guys get to each other from all the different camera angles around that we've got. 37 minutes left of the race, and it hasn't been a race that has been boring at all to watch. I mean, it has been a whole varial. I mean, look at the manufacturers up in the order. It's not just BMWs doing things out here, and it just goes to show that race conditions, Ryan predicted it, are very different to what happens in a race when you have to start dealing with dirty air, when you have to start going side by side with other cars, we have to start relying on different braking zones. That's what it all comes down to. The split of view from the 211 of Killian Ryan Meenan is also, again, a nice little camera shot to just show the kind of speed that these guys get up to down the back stretch before they have to get onto the anchors for Ascari. A nice flow is Monza, that's what it's known for. Josh, you mentioned it, a very high average top speed. Not a lot of times that you do have to slow down, but where you do, it's almost to a crawling pace through those chicanes, and that braking zone allows for people to get themselves into positions to make moves on the straightaways and things like that.
Absolutely, it's what makes Monza so special. One of the oldest tracks as well that's on the Formula One calendar, at least, and I dare say be one of the oldest in the GT3 calendar as well in terms of circuit age. As we see Burgess defending against Zach Fobar in the 153 Nismo, but going side by side down the pit straight. Fobar just getting side by side. He's going to make it stick in the braking zone. It looks like he's going to be pulling ahead. He's going to step into that chicane just ahead of, and just tracking down the BMW of Lucky. But not done yet. Burgess is looking to take back that position, going down into the Biasona, but looks like he's just going to move side by side into the braking zone for the second Vayante. It looks like, yeah, Fobar has just made that stick again.
Burgess was a little bit hesitant on the brakes there. Didn't know where he could get onto it on that inside line. Gonna get onto his flashes up towards the front. There has been a change in the lead of the race, and Harry Conway has finally put the crown on top of his head just for a little bit, as Ivan Shermantinsky switches around with that number 28, the turbo barge, aptly named out by the Triple R driver, Harry Conway, rocking a very different Triple R themed livery, that's for sure. Normally, like his teammate Billy Octane has, the Miami blue and purple's coming down, but been changed up for a bit of a high-vis vest, maybe specifically for the likes of Monza. But Harry Conway, good job to get himself up towards the front in the closing half of the race. It's where you want to be. And it's one thing catching up to a driver, it's another passing, and then it's a whole new chapter in leading a race. So all three of those things need to be ticked off for the likes of Conway to see that checkered flag at the end of the day, as we look back towards the battle that we've seen happening for quite a couple of laps, as Billy Octane starts to lose track position to the likes of Jan Machas behind him. So the number 33 BMW potentially going to be under attack from that GTR behind. Ryan, do you want to give us or Ryan and Josh combined? I mean, how do we want to do this? Can we do a full run through of our full grid of all our drivers? I mean, the Behemoth Cup, everybody committing the time out here. And it would be cool to see where they sit, almost coming into the halfway mark. I mean, Ryan, you can give us direction. Do you want to run through the cameras and let Josh run through the names?
Can do indeed. So, Josh, if you want to have a little run through the grid that we have right now, we'll start off with Harry Conway, of course, in the lead.
Yeah, Harry Conway leads this race, having just taken the lead from Ivan Shebetinsky, with Martin Schumacher in third, Lubomir Zeman in fourth, Martin Lorenk in fifth, Stefan Zero is in sixth at the moment. Jordan Grandsmith in seventh. He came from quite far back in the grid as well, I believe. So he's done a very good job pulling that Bentley into the top seven. We've got Peter Henneberg in eighth in the 77 Nismo. Andrea Felix is in ninth. Thiago Lima in 10th. Cormac Ryan Meenan in 11th. We've got Juraj Svenchak in 12th. Timu Ladima is in 13th. Billy Octane, best name in motorsport, kind of mandatory to add that little fact, in 14th. Jan Matthias is in 15th. Killian Ryan Meenan fighting for 16th. Alexander Lackey is in 17th, and Peter Forbar in 18th. Wojciech Burgos is in 19th with, Mateusz Kajzak in 20th. In 21st, we've got Karl Mathers. 22nd, we've got Herbert Froschel. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. We've got Michael Sundstrom in 23rd, followed by Morgan McCall. Klaus Nyring is going to be pulling up in, I believe, according to my timesheet, that's 24th, but 23rd has been repeated twice. Followed by Bart Matcha, Radoslaw Makuk, Junior McCall, and that completes our order.
Yeah, I think from Bart Matcha, Mark Whitford, Radoslaw Makuc, Junior McCall and Romano Berenic are the retirements, unfortunately, for this race. I know Bart Matcha has jumped down into the chat. Shame to see you in the chat, and obviously not on the track, Bart, but I know you don't give up easily, so I can only assume that it's probably something damage related on the car. And, well, my heart goes out to you, dude, because you do commit a lot of time here to RCI, so it's a shame to see you retire from the race, but I hope you did enjoy the little bit of racing that you did get to do, as we're going to jump to the battle for 8th place. Henneberg, he's under pressure from Lima, and Felix is in this battle as well, by the way, as the two Nismos go side by side into Prima Variante. Henneberg is going to keep the inside line. Lima's not going to have a better run out of the chicane, and he's got the Bentley of Felix right behind him as well, so he's going to be under pressure from the start. And I think Sundstrom, who is a lap down, is probably caught in all of this as well, so he's kind of just staying there, watching all this unfold, trying to not get in the way as we see the Nissan and the Bentley take a bit of the curb. And everything...
And I mean, Lima's also done such a good job here, Ryan, to get himself up. He's already got past Felix. He's got the pace behind him. So he's obviously found, again, a lot of drivers find themselves maybe getting into a lighter fuel load situation coming halfway into the race. The car feels a little bit more towards their liking, and the confidence levels as you've lapped around start to increase too. So Lima definitely on a bit of a charge towards the front and wants to get further up into the top 10. Henneberg has to stay ultra defensive, and this has just allowed a nice little train to form up behind him. And like you said, Mikkel Sundstrom just going to stay out of this, but at the same time be able to use the drag of the fast cars in front of him to get himself into a better position. So flashing lights come out from Thiago Lima. We've seen this used before, try and force the driver in front to miss a braking point if he can. Henneberg goes a little bit wide, and anything given Thiago Lima wants to use, and they are tucked right behind each other down into the start-finish straight they go, and they will all go for that inside line. Who pulls out first? That's the question that gets asked right now. Who's going to go for the breaking point first? Does Thiago Lima move to the outside? He does. We'll try and go later on the brakes. Does he get robbed of a position, or does he make one up onto the inside? He will have the drive out here, and it will be the likes of Henneberg to lose out hard to the likes of Felix as well behind. For now, he stays just a car's length ahead, so hasn't lost out just yet, but Felix all over him like butter on a hot bonnet, and forced out wide, touches the grass, into the wall he goes, doesn't pick anybody up, and not what you want to see, but that's the likes of pressure, and this is the racing that we see. Monza, not a forgiving place. Anywhere you go off can cause absolute chaos, and we will get a little look here, trying to see where he can fit back in. Is going to try and tuck back into the slip. Not a place that he can go. Wasn't a space. Not the place that you want to try and pull out. And
Looked like Sundstrom overshot the chicane there as well, but no, that's absolutely heartbreaking for Felix. It's not what you want to see at all, as we see the little replay there.
Gutted as we see the shots from the replay. And Conway, the shift up the front, changed again. Shermatinsky resumes the race. Sub 30 minutes to go in the lead again. The turbo barge needs to wind up that turbo pressure, I guess, and try and get a move on. Cannot let Shermatinsky get away from him. Cormac Ryan Meenan in 10th place here, also in a little battle of his own. needs to make sure that he keeps Sevenik behind. Well, he's got Mikkel Sundström behind him immediately, but then Sevenik behind him. So keep the likes of a back marker kind of between them. Make sure that Svensik can, find a place around, and not always the easiest place to go around, especially if back markers aren't just going to let you through. And Mikkel Sundström is trying to make up track position, trying to unlap himself where he can. So, where he has to yield to the blue flags, he will. But most certainly, there we go, he is going to yield out. So that is not what Cormac Ryan Meenan wants to see. Svensik gets let through, and the 107 Bentley is going to begin its charge.
Yeah, obviously it's looking quite ferocious as it's heading down into the second chicane, but Ryan Meenan does have a bit of a gap. As we cut on board with Grant Smith, as I said earlier, did a really, really good job of pulling that Bentley into the top 10 from so far back. But it looks like Lima is... No, it's not Lima. That is one... It must be one of the back markers coming up behind him there in the mortal liveried GTR. As we have Grant Smith just coming around Ascari. Looking to go on board with Stefan Zero with... yeah, it's not far... Grant Smith isn't far down the road then from Stefan as... we see them going into Parabolica, tucked right into the back of Lorenc. Obviously, these guys had a pretty big battle. I think it was laps 2 and 3 and a bit onwards. So these guys are still very, very incredibly kind of stuck together. As we go across the start-finish line, that BMW straight line speed really coming together, going almost side by side into the braking zone. Is he going to think better of it? I think he thinks better of it, and he's just going to take another attempt at the next chicane, I would imagine, depending on the exit he gets here. Looks like he's just made the exit work and starting the charge all over again.
I really like what Martin Lawrence did there to just hold his line, didn't force anything, and just wanted to let Zero behind. Pick the inside line if you wanted to go late onto the brakes, and sometimes, yeah, you can make someone outshoot their or overshoot their braking points. And I think Zero, thinking better of it, does settle back, but does put himself a little bit behind in terms of his schedule on trying to get up into that top 5. So we'll have to settle out to trying to see where he can use that M6 top line speed once again. And there's plenty of places to do so. So Stefan Zero, I think, just kind of trying to read the playbook of Martin Lawrence, who really does have a big playbook to really bring out to the table. Very experienced driver, so not an easy driver to get past on track. And I think everything for the 721 is going to be made difficult where it can be. But I think we got to have a bit of confidence in the number 171 GTR. Keeps the BMW Cup from being a BMW Cup towards the front of the order. And coming into the race and the final 23 minutes, it does appear that the BMWs have found that top line speed that they needed in the race that we saw in the qualifying side. But the top 10, a different picture compared to where we expected things to go. But look at that Rover M6 making the charge down. Lawrence once again will force him to go down. This time around, Zero has seen what's happened before. So can he make the stick? Lawrence will stay alongside so he has a better exit coming out from this, wants to keep the inside line through, and that's exactly what he does. So the Connection Lost Racing driver showing us exactly what defensive driving is all about. We've seen him do it before. He's going to do it time and time again and have to keep doing it because he doesn't have the same top speed. An older car in the grid, you mentioned it, Josh, before, is the Nissan GTR. And this time around again, Lawrence will set himself up for the inside line for the exit. So not for the entry, he's looking at the exit. And it's just a masterclass of defense coming down Ryan.
Absolutely. Can I say, if I might add as well, that Lorenc just looks so calm and composed. It looks like he's not even sweating driving that GTR in the way that he is. It looks like his defensive moves aren't really phasing him at all. Just from the outside, it looks fairly calm and composed. As we start seeing Grant Smith start to close the gap to Zero as well. I'm sorry for interrupting Ryan's input there.
It's quite all right, George. It's a good point you make as well. And can I just say, it's been 38 minutes exactly that Stefan Zero has spent chasing this Nissan Nismo. And he's got past Martin Lawrence 3 times today, and on each occasion he's made a mistake and given the place back. So Martin Lawrence has the mental edge over Stefan Zero. Stefan Zero will have those thoughts in the back of his head that if he gets in front of that Nissan, he'll be thinking about those 3 mistakes he made earlier on that cost him the position. Doesn't really have much of a chance to close up the top 4. So top 5 probably the best that Stefan Zero can hope for, but of course he does have to get past the Nissan. And that is easier said than done with Martin Lawrence in the car, and he's not going to have a look into the first chicane. But Jordan Grantsmith, who was also another G2 Esports Series finalist, George, but he's not running the BMW for this race, he's running the Bentley, and he's the highest running Continental at the moment, looking to possibly challenge the top 5 towards the end of this race.
Jordan Grantsmith did have a good showing in that G2 Esports Series, so good to see him coming out and showing that the practice at Monza goes to good play in race series that we bring to you at Racing Club International, of course, on the Sunday evening. My time, for a lot of people's time out on the European side of things. If you join us from other parts of the world, hello. From whatever time zone you are there. Of course, Racing Club International, very famed for that international tag that's in there. All of our staff coming from all over the world as well. So we love that you guys have joined us today. Massive shout out to our viewers, you guys in chat. We are able to see what you guys bring to the table. If you do have questions, just hashtag ask the box. We can try and get to some of that as we jump to some onboard footage of Jordan Grantsmith's charge down onto Stefan Zero. You can't get down past Martin Lawrence in front. Of course, Racing Club International wants to also thank our partners, RaceDepartment AK Informatica, Raceface Speed Labs, and Next Level Racing Simulators. All of those guys partnering up with us for different series that we do. Get a little shout out to them along the way. Splitzer cam from Jordan Grantsmith's Bentley is where we're going to see the charge down the start finish straight. If you are new here, we do have many racing series, and if you're interested in racing, just join our Racing Club International Discord channel, links down in the descriptions below, and you can just see how Zero cannot get past Lawrence, especially with that inside line defense that he sets himself up for, and this just backs him up the entire time into Grantsmith. So this is the racing that you want to see. With the last 20 minutes to go, the tires that these guys have had out there, no stops for them to go, have made for some interesting situations indeed. I think the grip levels have been really nice in terms of track temperatures, so it's really been down to how you've managed your tires in the race, to what you've got left coming down into those closing 20 minutes, and specifically the last 15 minutes are where your real notable tire drop-off is going to be. So keep an eye out to see any battles that are out on track within a second's gap coming down into those 15 minutes. Should be interesting, because I feel like that's where you've kind of pushed to the limits, and that's really where you start to feel that drop-off, Ryan.
Absolutely. Grantsmith really able to abuse those curbs going through Ascari in that Bentley, as it looks like Zero's definitely being pushed into that Bentley. In fact, I dare say that Bentley's almost within striking distance, so keep an eye on that space within the next lap or two. As we're still not on board with, but we are definitely watching this 3-way battle for 5th, 6th and 7th place. So I'll see who gets into this kind of order. Obviously, there's some cars in the pits there, but going through the start finish there, it looks like the gap's starting to actually kind of fan out just a little bit, but I doubt that will last for too much longer.
It definitely seems like the power of the M6 that Stefan Zero carries towards the end of the straights does bring him back up to the rear end of that Nissan. But it just seems like Stefan Zero is starting to struggle across the rest of the circuit through the corners. The Bentley of Jordan Grantsmith seems to have the edge over the M6, and I'm just wondering if Stefan Zero is starting to suffer from what George alluded to earlier. Tyres maybe starting to go a bit early on this BMW. Maybe after being stuck behind the Nissan for basically the entire race, Stefan Zero is starting to suffer now. And the Bentley of Jordan Grantsmith who has had, well, relatively clean air for most of it, as he goes a bit wide on the second Lesmo. He's, you know, maybe preserved his tyres a bit more. The Bentley is pretty good on tyres, it has to be said, along with its very good fuel usage as well, so it's no surprise that towards the end of this race, the Bentley just keeps getting quicker and quicker. I heard the Nissan is also a bit tricky on its tyres towards the end of a stint, as we have a BMW off there, and actually that's the leader! That's Ivan Shermatinsky, the number 11. He's off.
I don't think that is. On my screen, Shermatinsky is still... No, I think you're correct. No, you are absolutely correct. He's been pushed down the order, so forgive me for speaking there.
Well, we won't be able to catch it on the replay. It's beyond 30 seconds ago, but it's coming out of Ascari that it's happened for sure. And
maybe just lost it on the exit. That's heartbreaking. That was still really close. I was actually spectating the battle for the lead on my screen on the side here. I took my eyes off it for just a second, and that's all it takes. It was still really, really close between him and Harry Conway, so that's not what you want to see.
Definitely not what you want to see at all. It's a scary situation when you make a mistake, and definitely not a mistake you want to make up towards the front. So has to settle now for 7th place. Just goes to show how close the front top 10 are really running for a gap that was developing between first and second to suddenly just disappear. One small mistake, and I mean, it wasn't even a small mistake. It looked like quite a big mistake coming out, and Shermatinsky not going to be happy with himself. 15 minutes for him is not going to be enough time to make the charge up towards the front. Billy Octane, the man we see on screen at the moment, coming through the second Variante in the number 33, has some pressure still on from Jan Matjes. So the two of them have had a good race battle out on track, and it would be interesting to see, like I said, where the grip levels come in between the two of them in this closing phase of the race. Matjes has had all the time in the world to see where the defense comes off. Battle up between Grant Smith and Stefan Zero is going to not even take the closing 15 minutes to get up here. Grant Smith on the inside of the Parabolica. Can he keep the inside line? Can he force the 3-2-1 to make that mistake? And the 7-2-1, should I say, makes the mistake. Jordan Grant Smith gets by. Stefan Zero, having defended from the likes of Zero for so long, is gonna have to see if Jordan Grant Smith has anything else, and that's definitely not where you want to be overtaken in this phase of the race. Now you've got to see what you can push, and this is going to slow things down. Lawrence might actually smile out if the likes of Grant Smith and Zero continue with their little ballet out here at Monza.
No, absolutely. And I think Shermatinsky kind of winning it sort of means that battle for that's not a battle for 4th place, which means it carries much more weight. As we see Cormac Ryan Meenan battling it out with I think that's Svenchek in the 107 Bentley, going down towards the second chicane. See one of the Nismos kind of cutting it just a little bit. Svenchek is going to have the inside. Who's going to get the better exit? Going side by side in down towards the first Lesmo, but it seems that Svenchek is going to hold on to that P10. Going towards the second Lesmo now, just holding off Ryan Meenan. Not an easy task, might I add, on the run down to Ascari, but slipstream in the braking zone, especially that BMW power, that's Svenchek really has his work cut out for him to really make this kind of stick. As we're going towards the braking zone now, Svenchek making the most of the curbs as much as he can without throwing the car off wide. Going out of Ascari, he is going to get a good exit, but so is Ryan Meenan, but it's not going to be a case of who can carry the speed through the Parabolica, as I think Svenchek is starting to create a bit more of a gap.
And it is just the likes of Mikkel Sandstrom still trying to keep his way up towards the front of the order. He's involved in that as well. He's just staying along for the tow. Jordan Grant Smith, he's given himself some space. Cormac Ryan Meenan in the number 5. He's got the likes of Lard Delma behind him, which is 1.7 seconds as of the last timing update. So if he wants to chase down Svensik, he needs to make sure that he doesn't get himself involved in that. And of course, he's got that Bentley of Sundstrom between himself and that gold GTR and shot. So right now, Cormac Ryan Meenan gotta put the good old head down, get the chase down on Svensik, and try and see if he can make use of the big top end towards the end of the race here. Again, all the different fueling strategies would have paid their dividends for different drivers. Some mistakes might have been made inside of the fueling. Sundstrom going to pull out of the way of Ladolma, and that's going to allow him to focus on getting onto the back of Cormac Ryan Meenan here. So closing 10 minutes of the race, things have changed up towards the front of the order. Conway leads the race, Schumacher in second, and Zeeman sits in third place on the podium. And just outside of those podium spots, Lawrence in fourth, Grant Smith in fifth, Zero in sixth, Shermatinsky, who was the leader for so long and swapped it out with Conway a couple of times, down to seventh, Lima into eighth, Henneberg into ninth. Drive-through penalty for Cormac Ryan Meenan. Track limits exceeded. That's going to send the number 5 all the way down the order when he has to serve that out. Jan Matjes is showing as having a bit of a battle on his hands, and it will still be the likes of Octane who's holding him off through the sections he needs to. He's got the brunt of the top end, and Jan Matjes has to try and find something in the braking zone. So Cormac Ryan Meenan will peel into the pits. That's going to promote everybody that's within shooting range or on the same lap as the leader. Is going to take him a long time to get back out and get focused again. So not what he would have wanted in the closing 10 minutes. But it's not over till the fat lady sings, as they proverbially say, and in racing, anything can happen. So if a drive-through happens like that to one of the lead cars, they're going to have to serve that or get a big time penalty at the end of the race. So that will be served out from the number 5. Drive-through cleared. Jordan Grant Smith can't quite get onto the back of Stefan Zero, can he, Ryan?
No, he can't, but they've left Stefan Zero for dead. Martin Lawrence just ahead. And yeah, the BMW of Stefan Zero, I reckon he's ruined those tyres following the likes of Martin Lawrence for basically 45 minutes of the race. And it seems now that Jordan Grant Smith has the chance to put himself above Martin Lawrence. 7/10 is the gap, 9 minutes to go. It is doable here for Jordan Grant Smith, and how nice is that? We do have a Nissan and a Bentley in the top 5 right now, and unless we see any incidents, I think it probably will remain the same.
Possibly. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, sorry, man. Judge, you go first.
I was going to just say that Jordan Grant Smith must have seen that Lawrence held off the likes of Zero for so long. So we'll know that if he does catch up to the back, and it's certainly indicating that he's got the pace to do so. I mean, if you look at Jordan Grant Smith's best lap, he's done a 148.645. Lawrence doing a 148.555, so a 10th quicker is Lawrence potentially on paper. But last lap times coming out, Lawrence with a 148.810 dead, Jordan Grant Smith with a 148.810 dead. Equal last lap times coming out from both drivers. So if you're gonna talk about something in a chat, talk about the fact the two drivers are matching pace, as a big step out from Lawrence out of Lesmo 1, picks up a bit of dirt, and all of those little exit errors are going to cost you in the apex speeds, and definitely the speed that you carry out. So Grant Smith will see this, will know that potentially Lawrence is struggling for a bit of grip. He's been pushing it for a long time and had to defend for a long time, Josh. So, maybe just put the car in the right place and Lawrence makes a mistake.
No, absolutely, and later stage in the race, as Ryan said before, the Bentley does do the long haul pretty well in comparison to the other cars here. But the other thing I'm thinking as well is from a mental standpoint.
The Ryan Meenan brothers are on track against each other. I just have to let you know, two brothers, they're fighting it out. They've just if you jump back maybe 30 seconds, you'll see what they just did to one another in terms of coming into the second chicane. They are not finishing behind one another. That they've decided together as brothers. We have a pride thing on the line here at RCI, different manufacturers to play with, and good seeing Cormac in a car that potentially has the legs to always catch up to a car in front of the Nissan GTR. So down in 18th and 19th. I know it's down the bottom of the order and I jumped in on you, Josh, but these are the kind of narratives that I enjoy in sim racing.
No, absolutely. Kind of seeing brothers on track. It's kind of funny. It's well ironic seeing that we have a Schumacher on track as well at the moment. Obviously, with Ralph and Michael competing in the Formula One World Championships. Kind of seeing brothers here again at Monza with Killian and Cormac. As to round the Parabolica, obviously qualifying, a little bit of drama between the two of them, with Cormac losing it and the back end stepping out and kind of hitting Killian on one of his quicker laps. So I can't imagine there's any love lost between the two here. As we see, Grant Smith manages to get past Lorenk going into, I think it's the second chicane. But, really smart move on the outside. Does he get the cutback? I think he does. A little bit of contact, pushes Lorenk a little bit wide. He loses the space, but
for the first time, Lawrence doesn't put his car onto the inside line for an exit. And it will be where Grant Smith sees the opportunity to come through. They did have a tiny little collision coming through, and sometimes the collisions coming through in the sim racing world a little bit more aggressive than what they would do in real life, and they did touch as they came through, but it felt like they were giving each other the room that they wanted to have, coming through those corners. So the battle of the brothers in the closing 5 minutes. Cormac, Ryan Meenan in the number 5 chases down on his Lumo brother in front. Killian tries to defend, and we talked about this before. It's pride on the line. It's a fun series. Of course, the RCI TV Behemoth Cup event, a brainchild of Ryan Gill, the man behind the cameras and as well as on the mic. So does a lot here for RCI, comes up with the different racing series as well as brings the racing action to you wonderful viewers on track. If you guys have enjoyed the action, please don't feel shy to smash that like button, share it where you can. All of the exposure, all the follows, all the subs means the world to us and helps us grow the wonderful world of sim racing. And the broadcasting side to us is brings us as much joy as racing on track does to a lot of these drivers. So when it's down to the last couple of minutes and you've got battles all across the line, into the slip goes Cormac Ryan Meenan. Onto the outside he goes for his brother. What does the GTR do back? Killian just doesn't have the top line. He's talked about it in the chat. Later onto the brakes, onto the inside. He's going to send it into the defensive mode where he can, and Cormac gets out break. 3 minutes, 58 seconds on the clock, Ryan. This is definitely something that I know you want to talk about. Both Ryan Meenan brothers are very close to your racing side of life.
Definitely so. I've raced both of them in multiple championships before. Admittedly, I've been behind them more than in front of them, but they are definitely two drivers that I know quite well, and it's always enjoyable to see them on track with each other. We often say how close they are to each other on track. Obviously, they were a bit further apart today. Killian will chalk that down to the Nissan being slow, always there for the excuses. But I tell you what, he'll love to finish ahead of Cormac, especially after the drive-through penalty that Cormac received, and there's some weaving going on here as well between them. Of course, there's no greater feeling, is there, I imagine, in sim racing than beating, a sibling, especially one that, may I remind you, Cormac was the one that introduced Killian to sim racing. Cormac is the veteran here.
Absolutely love it, Ryan. This is what you want to see. And look at him just trying to break the slip of his brother, not allow him to get tucked where he wants to go. Now the number 5 going to be on the charge. This is where you start to see the difference in power of the two manufacturers on the circuit. And up towards the front of the order, Martin Schumacher, he's got himself within shooting distance of Harry Conway, 3/10 as per the last timing update, and he will be getting into slipstream. Side by side, the Ryan Meenan brothers go. Inside line is going to be there for the number 5 of Cormac, but it will be Killian who gets the better drive on the exit. And geez, they're just going to switch it up. It's going to make it hard for us to try and talk about the action. The number 211 looking back from the back wing of him as he sees his brother. They go alongside once again. Killian wants to make sure that he can set himself up for the inside line. A little bit of curb being used, a little bit too much, but it will remain on the inside. The drive from that M6 was better coming out. I think that Killian's going to have to settle in behind and hope that Cormac makes the mistake now. Cormac takes over in the last minute and 30 seconds. At the inside, look at the move through Lesmo too. That is big man driving. And Killian is not letting his brother take the victory today. That is most certainly a way to do it. Harry Conway up at the front still got the pressure of Schumacher behind. And Schumacher does not want to let the same fate happen as we're seeing the brothers fighting on track. Wants to try and keep Conway at bay and start to put the pressure on. We'll be into that slip zone, Joshua.
Oh, absolutely. As we see, I think that's Lorenk kind of go across the second chicane there. And just get a replay of that now. I think he just misses the braking point, just carries it a little bit too much, cuts a little bit in, and I think he's got to get that position back. Yes, he does. But no, it's going down to the Ryan Meenan brothers. I'd love to be in that room or in that voice chat. I can imagine there's some pleasantries being exchanged for definite there as we are back to the battle for the lead with only 30 seconds left to go. So potentially only one more lap in this for Schumacher to kind of make this stick. I don't think he's going to have the gap to do it this lap in Parabolica, but anything can happen, especially if Conway makes a mistake, but he's stayed calm and collected throughout almost all of this entire race in the lead. Obviously there was the battle.
Conway will be wanting this clock to tick down before he gets to the line. 8 seconds to go. I don't think he will be able to slow it down enough for the race to end. We will get another lap out of this indeed, and Conway now under a lot of pressure.
Inside, and yeah, you're right, Conway under a lot of pressure. Schumacher moving on to the inside. Can he make it stick into this braking zone? He's on just a little bit earlier than Conway, but can he get the cutback? That is the question. He's just going to be a little bit like, can he get the exit? He's on the power as soon as he can be, but I think Conway is just going to get the better exit going down into the second chicane, but it's still anybody's position for to be outbraking or to outbrake into the second chicane as we look backwards from that rear wing. Schumacher looking at kind of just squeezing his way in there, having to be on the brakes just a little bit early, and I think he's just lost the opportunity to actually have a little bit of a slide on exit, but oh, that was close. That was very, very close, George.
Conway lazily defends across T1 and allows himself to just build up a little bit of a car length breathing space to Schumacher behind. Don't think it's going to be enough. At the end of this race, our top 3 are separated by less than what will be a second, as Zeeman is also benefiting off of this battle in front. Into the slip once again. Schumacher will go around the outside of Ascari is where he's going to be forced to go. Conway wants to set himself up to have the inside line for the second part of this corner, but around the outside, Schumacher will go. This is a move to go. Schumacher with the moves coming through, and that is what Martin Schumacher needed to do. Harry Conway cannot believe what's been done. Lubomir Zeeman, he sees this. Conway going to be slow out of the exit after having to defend. Zeeman can maybe break later coming into Parabolic. He's going to try and see if he can. Conway will go defensive. Martin Schumacher on the late. Oh, no! It is going to be slow. Has he run out of fuel? Has Harry Conway run out of fuel? I don't think he has the legs to do so. Schumacher on the last lap going to cross the line. Harry Conway has run out of fuel. Zeeman goes into second. Can he coast it to get third? Grant Smith might be coming to the line in just a second. He's going to come around Parabolica. Here he comes, Jordan Grant Smith, number 91. Can he charge to the line? Will take third place ahead of Conway. So will Lawrence into fourth. Conway, will he roll to fifth ahead of 0-0 in that 7-2-1? Comes across the line, but no. Conway takes sixth place. Big crash coming in right at the end as Conway needed a nudge. Before that, wasn't going to come in, but talk about stories. Martin Schumacher in the 411, the man with the dream, the man who sent it into Ascari with what was definitely one of the biggest overtake moves I've seen in a racing series ride.
Well, one of the best finishes I think we have ever seen.
That was absolutely crazy. Outside in Ascari, I mean, how big of a man do you need to be to go for a move like that? But also exchanging these kind of pleasantries. When was the last time we saw a Schumacher on the top step at Monza? It's just RCI making it happen, can I just say that much?
Martin Schumacher, talented driver indeed, and lovely drone shots we get of our leader on his final celebratory lap. Of course, some of the drivers not going to be able to do that if they've run out of fuel. Martin Schumacher fueling perfectly to take the victory and, of course, take it home for his final lap here for the Behemoth Cup. Special event on a Sunday, brought to you live, of course, by Racing Club International, our partners, Race Department, AK Informatica, Race Face, Speed Labs, and Next Level Racing Simulators. It's been such a great race from all our drivers here. They've given us something to scream and shout about indeed. And up to the line, I'm going to need some lozenges for my throat because, you know, after an hour's worth of racing where it's not been unexciting in the mid-pack, right up until the line, that's where you want to see things changing over. So I feel that it has not under-delivered. If you guys do want to get involved, of course, our Discord channel is there. Ryan, it has definitely been a night to remember.
It has indeed, George. It's been absolutely phenomenal, and I think going into tonight, the racing we saw was a lot better than we probably expected to get out of this. I mean, who would have thought Harry Conway just wrong on his fuel calculations on the final lap, doesn't even get top 5. We have a Bentley on the podium, by the way, and well, if anyone had any doubts as to if it would be BMW domination, well, it was almost 3 BMWs on the podium, but it's not going to be that way. And I have to say, the Nissans and the Bentleys, they were well represented throughout the field, and they definitely all deserve the results they had. So, absolutely fantastic racing from everyone here tonight on stream. Unfortunate for the drivers that couldn't make it to the end through damage or mistakes, but it's definitely been a night to remember in Racing Club International history. And we thank all of you for joining us here tonight. It's been amazing to have every single one of you. Like George said as well, do hit the like button and subscribe if you like what you've seen here at RCI TV. And of course, a big thank you to Race Department and AK Informatica for helping us get off the ground. Raceface, if you're looking to get quicker and maybe emulate the likes of Martin Schumacher, well, you can check out the Raceface Speed Labs service and use code RCI Coaching to save on your next Speed Labs session. And if you want to take your sim racing to the next level, you can check out Next Level Racing. Some incredible racing stands and rigs with motion platforms as well. Whatever suits your fancy, Next Level Racing have it, so do check them out as well. If you did enjoy what you saw here today, well, we do have some other stuff coming up over the next few weeks, and of course, going into next week, we're going to have round 6 of the RCI Endurance Championship. We're going to be at George's least favourite circuit, Brands Hatch, and Jesse Lee will be joining us in the commentary box for that one. So that's going to be a 2-hour race with team event. It's going to be really interesting to see how all those cars show themselves up at Brands Hatch. We do have some other events coming up. We have the Aston Martin V12 Vantage Cup coming up soon. And then, of course, the Porsche Cup and Night Owl Season 2 will both be getting underway relatively shortly. In fact, Night Owl Season 2 will be kicking off next weekend, Saturday. So do make sure to check that out. Race starts at 2300 UTC. So do make sure to stick around for that because the Night Owl races are absolutely phenomenal. So, from myself here today, George Smith and Joshua Devonshire in the box. Thank you very much for watching today, guys. And we hope to see you around very soon for the next round of racing here at RCI TV. We hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and look forward to a new week of racing.